Hi, my name's Roger Griffiths. I'm team principal with the Andretti Formula E team.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. It would be really interesting to know how operational resilience applies to Andretti and specifically in this racing sector.
I mean, for me, it really is the foundation of what we do. It's how we've built the team. It's not about any one specific aspect. It's about building a strong foundation, as I just mentioned, and then what feeds that foundation? What makes the strength of it? Is it the people? Is it the procedures? Is it the processes that we have? It's the partners like Crowe that are working with us, that support us. We identify areas where we're not necessarily the expert. We're really good at making cars go fast. We've won a world championship to prove that. But when it comes to something like the cost cap, that's not our area of expertise. We're really good at spending money. We're not so good at documenting how we spent that money and why we spent that money. So we look to see who would be the right people to help us with this process. And Crowe, when they first came to us and we were introduced, it was just that right fit. So there's an example of how we've recognized that we're not the experts everywhere, but we're smart enough to realize that rather than try and fool ourselves into believing we can do everything and anything. We said, okay, this is an area we need support, we need help. And that's just one example of how we look to our foundations and say, we don't want cracks to appear because we're perhaps overconfident in our own abilities. And we've looked outside of it and we said, no, we need help, we need support, we need to structure ourselves differently. And this is just an example of why we as an organization can say that we've got this strong operational resilience. But we didn't learn that overnight. I mean, we're coming into our 12th season now in Formula E. It's something that we've built upon year. We set ourselves goals and we set ourselves targets, and then we get to the end of the year. We don't just sort of, oh, that was great, we got the 3 race wins that we targeted. We're actually very critical about what it is. What could we have done better? How can we improve as an organization? We identify, like I said before, the gaps in our knowledge, the gaps in our ability, and look to fill them, to provide, we don't want those cracks. We want to fill those cracks with cement. And that cement is what makes us stronger. And sometimes when everything is going really, really well, you don't necessarily learn. Sometimes you learn not necessarily by mistake, but why things didn't go the way you'd first hoped. And that then helps us become stronger as we look to the next season and the season down the road. We don't look just to next week or to next year. We're looking 3 to 5 years ahead. How do we want this team to evolve? How do we want it to grow? What do we need to do to be competitive? Who are the threats to us out there? Is it an internal threat? Maybe we're going to lose somebody, or there's a danger that we could lose somebody. How do I make this place more attractive for that person to want to stay? How do I fend off the opposition? Just in the same way that we fend off the opposition on the track as well by trying to make our race car go faster or our drivers be more competitive. We look, how can we evolve the people that we have? How can we give them the opportunities to learn? And by that, we're building this core group of people that, even if we lose 1 or 2 people or something changes within the way that we work, the business environment we're in, we see today that the automotive industry is in a bit of turmoil because, whether it's tariffs coming from America or threats from China around components that we can no longer get, how do we make ourselves immune to those threats? And this is what we focus on all the time. I spend as much time looking at that piece of the business as I do on, can we win the first race in Sao Paulo in 3 weeks' time? So this to me is, our operational resilience.
I think in essence, everything that you described is what operational resilience is. It's that making sure, in what you mentioned, cracks, which essentially could be disruptions, could be any problems, making sure that you stand resilient against it. You know that you are able to prevent it from happening initially through pre-planning. You're able to obviously make sure you're adapting to it, responding to it. So if we actually think about it for financial services, the official definition of what operational resilience is the ability to prevent, adapt, respond, recover, and learn from disruption, whilst making sure that all your important business services are being continually maintained. And in essence, that's exactly the thing, keeping the wheels moving, so that despite the fact that in one place there might be, let's say, a fire happening, all of the other places are systematically still working well to deliver, making
Excellent.
sure that the race is still successful.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you what's going to happen next week. I mean, there was an announcement yesterday, which I never saw coming last week, and I'm now having to react to it.
Yeah.
And what does that mean to me as the team principal that's running one of the top teams here in Formula E? What does that mean for our future? How does perhaps our ownership group going to react to this announcement? So there are many things that you kind of have to stay on top of, things that just come out at you out of left field, to use one of those American sports expressions. But by having that strong foundation, by having the right partners with us, it means that these are just speed bumps in the road. They're not major catastrophes that could potentially derail what we're trying to do.